What happens when a beloved comedy legend walks onto a daytime talk show set, expecting a light-hearted conversation, only to find himself sitting face to face with the most openly hostile interviewer on television? What you're about to witness is the moment Joy Behar's trademark sarcasm and perceived arrogance finally met its match. This wasn't just another awkward celebrity interview. This was a slow, burn confrontation that escalated into one of the most talked-about moments in daytime TV history. And while many people remember the shocking ending, Joy Behar storming off her own show, the build-up to that moment is even more jaw-dropping than anyone expected. As always, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below, because what unfolded in that studio left the audience, the crew, and viewers at home completely stunned. The View studio buzzed with its usual pre-show energy as Adam Sandler walked out and settled into the guest chair. His familiar, easygoing smile instantly warmed the room. The audience erupted into enthusiastic applause, clearly thrilled to see the comedy icon in person. Sandler waved shyly, nodding in appreciation, his relaxed demeanor exactly what fans had come to love about him over the years. For a moment, everything felt normal, routine even. Just another celebrity appearance on a long-running daytime talk show. But as the cameras rolled and the red recording light flickered on, something changed. Joy Behar's expression shifted almost immediately. Her posture stiffened, her smile fading just enough to signal that this conversation wasn't going to follow the usual friendly script. Longtime viewers recognized that look. It was the look that meant Joy was gearing up for confrontation. "So, Adam," Joy began, her voice carrying a sharp edge that cut through the studio's cheerful atmosphere, "I have to ask about your latest movie. I mean, really, another juvenile comedy." The room grew noticeably quieter. "At your age," she continued, raising an eyebrow, "don't you think it's time to grow up and finally make something with actual substance?" A ripple of discomfort moved through the audience. Adam Sandler's smile faltered just slightly, but he didn't look rattled. He took a breath, leaning forward a bit, clearly choosing his words carefully. "Well, Joy," he replied calmly, "I make movies that make people laugh, and honestly, in times like these, I think people really need something to smile about. Comedy's always been about bringing a little joy to folks who might be having a tough day. Joy to folks." Joy repeated, mockingly emphasizing his words as she tilted her head. "That's interesting, coming from someone whose idea of humor is fart jokes and funny voices." A few nervous laughs echoed from the audience, but they quickly faded. "I mean, seriously," Joy pressed on, clearly uninterested in easing up. "When was the last time you made a movie that actually said something meaningful about the world we live in?" The other hosts shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Whoopi Goldberg attempted to step in, offering a diplomatic comment about the importance of humor in difficult times, but Joy bulldozed right over her without hesitation. "No, I'm serious," Joy continued, her voice growing louder, more forceful. "We have real problems in this country, Adam. Climate change, political division, social justice issues. And instead of addressing any of that, you're out there making movies where grown men act like teenagers." Adam sat back, his expression calm, but now noticeably firmer. The playful charm was still there, but something else had entered the room, resolve. "Joy," he said evenly, "not every movie has to be a lecture. Some people come home exhausted, stressed, overwhelmed. They don't want to be reminded of everything that's going wrong. They just want to laugh for an hour and forget their problems for a bit." Joy scoffed. "So escapism is your contribution to society?" That question hung in the air like a challenge. "I think laughter is a contribution," Adam replied. "I've had people tell me my movies help them through depression, through grief, through really dark moments." "That matters to me." The audience applauded softly, sensing the shift in tone. Joy rolled her eyes. "That sounds nice, Adam, but don't you think it's a little convenient, making millions of dollars while pretending you're some kind of emotional support system?" At that point, the tension in the studio was undeniable. Even the crew behind the cameras exchanged uneasy glances. This was no longer playful banter. It was personal. Adam paused, then smiled. Not his usual goofy grin, but a calm, confident smile. "You know what, Joy?" he said. "I've never claimed to be a hero or a philosopher. I'm a comedian. That's what I've always been. And if making people laugh somehow offends you, that's okay." But I won't apologize for doing the thing I love, and doing it well." The audience erupted into applause. Joy opened her mouth to fire back, but the noise drowned her out. Her face flushed as she waited for silence, clearly irritated that the crowd wasn't on her side. "This isn't about offense." She snapped once the applause died down. "It's about responsibility." "And who decides that responsibility?" Adam asked calmly. "You." That was the moment everything changed. Joy froze for half a second, visibly stunned. The other hosts went silent. The audience leaned forward in their seats. Joy Behar's trademark confidence cracked, and within minutes, the interview would spiral into chaos, ending with Joy Behar standing up, ripping off her microphone, and storming off her own show as cameras kept rolling. But what happened next, no one saw coming. "Here you are," Joy Behar said sharply, her voice dripping with disbelief, "making millions off the most basic, lowest, common denominator entertainment. Don't you feel any responsibility at all to use your platform for something more important?" The question landed like a punch. The studio, once lively and warm, suddenly felt tight and heavy. Adam Sandler took a measured breath. His famously laid-back demeanor remained intact on the surface, but for the first time there were visible cracks. His shoulders stiffened slightly, and his smile faded into something more restrained, controlled. "Look, Joy," Adam said calmly, choosing his words with care. "I understand you have strong feelings about this, I really do, but I think you're selling both comedy and audiences short." Joy crossed her arms, unimpressed. "When a kid laughs at one of my movies," Adam continued, "when a parent gets to forget their stress for an hour and laugh with their family, that matters, that's meaningful. Laughter isn't nothing. It's connection. It's relief. Oh, please." Joy scoffed loudly, rolling her eyes so dramatically that the gesture was impossible to miss even on camera. "That's just Hollywood spin. You're making mindless content that dumbs down society." A few uncomfortable murmurs rippled through the audience. "Kids should be learning about important issues." Joy pressed on, emboldened by her own momentum, "not wasting their time on your infantile humor." The tension in the studio had become palpable. Even the production crew behind the cameras shifted uneasily. A camera operator adjusted his stance. A producer whispered something urgently into a headset. This was no longer an interview, it was an interrogation. "And another thing," Joy continued, clearly warming up rather than winding down. "Your movies consistently portray women as objects or one-dimensional characters. How do you justify perpetuating these harmful stereotypes in an era where women are fighting for equal representation?" Adam's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. The easygoing, comic persona gave way to something firmer, steadier. "Joy," he replied evenly, with respect, "I think you're mischaracterizing my work. I've worked with incredibly talented female comedians and actors throughout my career. Many of my films feature strong female characters, and I've always tried to create roles that showcase women's comedic talents." "Name one." Joy shot back instantly, leaning forward aggressively. "Name one movie where the woman isn't either the nagging wife, the unattainable love interest, or the butt of the joke." The abruptness of her challenge drew an audible reaction from the crowd. "Well," Adam said after a brief pause, "in Grown Ups, Maria Bello and Salma Hayek both played substantial roles. They were equal partners to their husbands in the story, not side props." Joy's expression didn't soften. "In Billy Madison," Adam continued, gaining confidence, "Bridget Wilson's character was intelligent, professional, and independent. She wasn't reduced to a stereotype." Joy shook her head dismissively. "And in Happy Gilmore," Adam added, "Julie Bowen played a successful professional woman who wasn't defined by her relationship with my character. She had her own goals, her own career." Joy waved a hand through the air as if swatting away an inconvenience. "Those are supporting roles at best," she snapped. "Token characters designed to make your movies seem less sexist than they actually are." The audience murmured again, louder this time. Some faces showed discomfort. Others showed frustration. "You're part of the problem, Adam." Joy continued relentlessly. "You have influence, you have money, you have power, and what do you do with it?" She leaned closer, her voice rising. "You make movies about golf and football and manchildren who refuse to grow up." The room felt frozen. Adam glanced briefly toward the other hosts, Whoopi, Sunny, Sarah, perhaps hoping for intervention. None came. They seemed caught between the force of Joy's attack and the growing discomfort of the audience. Adam turned back to Joy. "I think," he said carefully, his voice calm but noticeably firmer now, "that entertainment and activism can coexist without one invalidating the other." Joy scoffed again, but Adam continued, "Not every artist has to deliver a political message to be valuable. Some of us help people breathe for a moment, and there's nothing irresponsible about that." The audience broke into scattered applause. Joy's face hardened. She opened her mouth to respond, but the clapping interrupted her. She waited impatiently for silence, tapping her fingers against the desk. "So making people forget reality is your legacy." She snapped once the noise faded. "No," Adam replied, "helping them survive it is." That line hit harder than expected. The audience reacted immediately. Applause, cheers, even a few whistles. The camera briefly cut to the crowd, capturing nods of agreement and expressions of surprise. Joy Behar sat back in her chair, visibly irritated. Her trademark confidence wavered as the energy in the room shifted away from her. She tried to regain control. "This isn't about comedy," she said sharply. "It's about accountability, and who gets to decide that?" Adam asked calmly. "You?" The question hung in the air. For the first time, Joy hesitated. The studio went silent. That brief pause, just a few seconds, felt monumental. It was the moment when viewers realized something had changed. The usual power dynamic was gone. The interviewer no longer had the upper hand. And within moments, the situation would escalate beyond anything anyone in that studio expected, ending in a dramatic war-off that would dominate headlines and social media for days. But the breaking point was still seconds away. "My job is to entertain people," Adam said firmly, his tone calm but resolute, "and I take that responsibility seriously. But that doesn't mean I don't care about important issues, or that I'm somehow damaging society just by making people laugh." Joy didn't hesitate. She cut him off mid-thought, her voice sharp and dismissive. "Your job, Adam, is whatever you choose it to be," she snapped, "and you've chosen to be part of a system that keeps people distracted from real problems while making yourself rich in the process." The studio went quiet. "That's not entertainment," Joy continued. "That's exploitation." The word hit the room like a slap. For the first time since the interview began, Adam Sandler's famous smile vanished completely. No trace of humor remained. Something shifted in his expression, a tightening around the eyes, a stillness in his posture, that made it clear Joy Behar had finally crossed a line. The audience sensed it immediately. A hush fell over the studio. "You know what, Joy?" Adam said quietly. His voice wasn't loud. He didn't raise it, but it carried a weight that made everyone lean in just a little closer. "I think we need to talk about exploitation." The silence deepened as his words registered. Even the faint hum of studio equipment seemed louder in comparison. Joy's confident smirk flickered for just a moment, barely noticeable, but unmistakable. For the first time, she sensed the power dynamic shifting away from her. "Exploitation," Adam repeated, his voice steady now, edged with something sharper. "Since you want to talk about using platforms responsibly, let's examine your track record, Joy." A murmur rippled through the audience. "You sit here every day on national television," Adam continued, claiming to speak for women, for marginalized communities, for people who don't have a voice. Joy stiffened. "But what do you actually do?" Adam asked. "Besides tearing people down," Joy's eyes narrowed instantly. "Excuse me, I've been fighting for progressive causes longer than you've been making movies." She shot back. "I don't need a lecture from someone who thinks putting on a dress for cheap laughs is peak comedy." A sharp intake of breath swept through the audience. Even the other hosts looked stunned. Adam didn't react the way Joy expected. He didn't snap. He didn't raise his voice. Instead, he leaned back slightly in his chair, a calm, knowing look crossing his face. "There it is," he said evenly. Joy frowned. "There what is?" "The condescension." Adam replied, "The assumption that you're morally superior to everyone else in the room." Joy scoffed, but Adam continued undeterred. "You want to talk about harmful representation," he said. "Then let's talk about how you've spent years representing liberal women as perpetually angry, hostile, and dismissive of anyone who doesn't perfectly align with you." The audience murmured louder now. "You turned disagreement into character assassination," Adam went on. You reduce complex conversations into sound bites designed to humiliate people rather than engage with them. Joy shook her head in disbelief. That's rich coming from you. No, Adam said calmly. What's rich is accusing entertainers of exploitation while profiting from outrage. The words landed hard. You build moments like this. Adam continued, gesturing subtly around the table. Confrontation, conflict, viral clips. You don't invite guests to understand them. You invite them to challenge, interrupt, and tear down. Joy leaned forward, her voice rising. I hold people accountable. No, Adam replied immediately. You hold people hostage to your version of morality. The audience reacted audibly, some clapping, others gasping. For someone who talks so much about compassion, Adam added, you show very little of it when someone disagrees with you. Joy's face flushed. This is unbelievable. What's unbelievable, Adam said, is pretending that making people laugh is harmful while building a career on anger. The studio felt like it was vibrating with tension. Producers could be seen gesturing frantically off camera. One of the hosts opened her mouth to interject, then thought better of it. You accuse me of distracting people from real issues. Adam continued, but joy matters, laughter matters, relief matters. Not everyone has the luxury of turning every moment into a political debate. Joy scoffed again, but it sounded thinner now. You sit here and judge people, Adam said, his voice still controlled, but you never stop to ask whether your approach actually brings people together, or just pushes them further apart. Joy crossed her arms. So now you're an expert on unity? No, Adam replied. I'm just someone who understands that empathy works better than arrogance. The audience applauded, louder this time, longer. Joy glanced around the studio, clearly irritated by the response. Her jaw tightened as she tried to regain control. This is my show, she snapped, and this was supposed to be a conversation. Adam said calmly. That line drew another wave of applause. Joy sat back, her expression hard, eyes darting briefly toward the cameras, as if suddenly aware of how the moment might look to viewers at home. You want to talk about responsibility, Adam concluded. Then let's be honest about how we all use our platforms, not just entertainers. The silence that followed was deafening. Joy opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out at first. For the first time all interview, Joy Behar looked unsure. And that hesitation, that single crack in her composure, was the moment everything finally began to unravel. The other hosts exchanged alarmed glances across the table. This had gone far beyond a typical heated exchange, and into territory that felt genuinely volatile. The studio atmosphere had changed completely. What was once a controlled television environment now felt unpredictable, almost dangerous. How dare you? Joy snapped, her voice rising sharply, loud enough to make members of the studio audience visibly shift in their seats. I represent real women with real concerns about the direction of this country. Not everyone has the luxury of sitting around making jokes while the world burns around them. The words echoed harshly. Real women? Adam repeated thoughtfully, tilting his head slightly. His tone wasn't mocking. It was measured, almost reflective. Tell me something, Joy. When was the last time you actually listened to what real women want? Joy scoffed. Because in my experience, Adam continued, most women, like most people, appreciate being able to laugh. They appreciate entertainment that doesn't lecture them, shame them, or make them feel guilty for enjoying themselves. That's because they've been conditioned by a patriarchal society to accept substandard content. Joy fired back without hesitation. It's internalized misogyny, Adam. These women deserve better than the garbage you're feeding them. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Adam shook his head slowly, disbelief written across his face. Do you hear yourself right now? He asked calmly. You just dismissed the opinions and choices of millions of women because they don't align with your world. You? Joy crossed her arms, her jaw set. You're literally saying, Adam continued, that women who enjoy my movies are either too stupid or too brainwashed to know what's good for them. The audience was silent now, completely still. How is that empowering? Adam asked. I'm saying they deserve content that challenges them intellectually rather than pandering to the lowest common denominator. Joy replied, but there was a noticeable defensive edge creeping into her voice. No, Adam said immediately. What you're saying is that you know better than they do. about what they should want, what they should enjoy, what they should think. Joy opened her mouth to interrupt, but Adam didn't stop. "That's not feminism, Joy," he said firmly. "That's elitism disguised as activism." The words landed with weight. For the first time in the exchange, Joy Behar, known for her quick wit, sharp tongue, and ability to dominate any conversation, seemed momentarily off balance. Her usual confidence wavered as the audience remained utterly silent, sensing they were witnessing something unprecedented. "I think," Whoopi finally tried to interject, her voice calm but urgent. "Maybe we should move on to talking about Adam's upcoming projects and give everyone a chance to cool down." "No," Joy snapped sharply. She turned briefly to glare at her co-host before snapping her attention back to Adam. "No, I want to hear more," Joy continued, her voice tight, "about how the man who made Jack and Jill thinks he understands feminism better than a woman who's been in this business for decades." A murmur rippled faintly through the audience. Adam smiled then, but it wasn't his familiar warm, goofy grin. It was sharper, more deliberate, calculated. "Since you brought up experience," Adam said evenly, "let's talk about it." Joy raised an eyebrow. "You've been in this business for decades," Adam continued. "That's true. And during that time, you've built a platform where disagreement is treated like ignorance, and nuance is treated like weakness." Joy scoffed. "That's absurd, is it?" Adam asked. "Because from where I'm sitting, you don't trust women to think for themselves unless they agree with you." The audience reacted audibly, soft gasps, a few murmurs of approval. "You talk about representation," Adam went on, "but the moment women choose joy over outrage, humor over anger, you dismiss them as victims of conditioning." Joy leaned forward, "Because they are." "And that right there," Adam replied, his voice calm but unyielding, "is exactly the problem." The studio felt frozen. "You don't see strength in choice," Adam said. "You see strength only in compliance." Joy's face flushed. "You don't get to define feminism." "I'm not trying to," Adam replied. "I'm saying feminism isn't telling women they're wrong for liking what they like." The audience erupted into applause, sudden, loud, and sustained. Joy looked visibly irritated as the noise drowned out her response. She waited, tapping her fingers against the desk, her frustration clear. "This is unbelievable," she muttered once the applause finally died down. "What's unbelievable," Adam said, "is watching someone claim to fight for women while openly dismissing their voices." Joy shook her head. "You're twisting my words." "No," Adam said quietly. "I'm holding them up so everyone can see them." The silence returned, heavier than before. Joy glanced briefly toward the cameras, then back at Adam, her expression hardening. "You think you've won something here?" Adam shrugged slightly. "I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to be honest." "That's rich," Joy snapped. "Maybe," Adam replied, "but honesty shouldn't scare you this much." The audience leaned forward, sensing the moment teetering on the edge of collapse. Joy inhaled sharply, her voice trembling, not with fear, but with anger. "This conversation is over." Adam nodded. That's usually what happens when someone loses control of the narrative. The words hit like a final blow. Joy Behar froze. The studio was completely silent, and in that silence, thick, uncomfortable, unmistakable, everyone realized they were seconds away from a moment that would replay across social media, dominate headlines, and permanently change how this interview would be remembered. The breaking point had arrived.